when Donald Trump walked into a South Carolina gun store. He was hit with a curveball about gun regulations, and instead of fumbling, he turned it into a full-on power move. Meanwhile, I can only imagine how a different figure in politics would have handled the same situation. Today, we'll talk about how Trump effortlessly flipped a loaded question into an opportunity to talk about bigger issues and what this says about his leadership style. We'll look at a video where Trump showed that he's a master of unscripted moments. We'll also break down what went down in that gun store and why it's more than just a casual stop. It's a snapshot of how a real leader handles pressure. Plus, we'll take a closer look at how the current fares in similar situations and the difference it makes when it comes to winning over voters. Let's dive in. During Donald Trump's visit to Palmetto State Armory in Summerville, South Carolina, he walked into a lively setting, surrounded by prominent figures, including the store's co-owners, Jamin McCallum and Julian Wilson. The atmosphere buzzed with local support as Trump was treated to a tour of the store, checking out its offerings, including a Glock 19 engraved with his likeness. Yes, the store even had a custom Trump 45 edition Glock, etched with his portrait. It wasn't just a casual look around. The visit held deeper significance for the political crowd and gun enthusiasts alike. At the heart of this encounter was an important question posed by one of the owners. Would Trump address the pistol brace regulation issue if elected again? Trump didn't shy away from the question. In his characteristic confident style, he quickly reassured the owners that he'd take care of it if reelected, calling the issue easy compared to other national challenges like border security and energy independence. He framed it as part of a broader effort to roll back regulatory overreach, promising to make things easier for gun owners across the country. The exchange wasn't just about policy, though. It displayed Trump's ability to connect with his base, especially in settings like these, where the Second Amendment and gun rights are at the forefront of the conversation. His quick response signaled not just his support for gun rights, but also his broader political messaging on regulatory freedom, security, and independence, a message that clearly resonated with the folks at Palmetto State Armory. When Trump was asked about the pistol brace regulation, he didn't merely answer the close-ended question with a simple yes and move on. Instead, he turned the moment into a broader opportunity. The question about pistol braces quickly became a springboard for him to tackle two of his signature issues: energy independence and border security. Both topics resonate deeply with his base, and Trump knows this well. He's got a knack for transforming any conversation into a chance to reinforce his political identity as a problem solver who addresses the bigger picture. In this particular gun store exchange, after pledging to handle the pistol brace issue, Trump immediately pivoted. He talked about how, just a few years ago under his administration, America was energy independent, even on the verge of energy dominance. It wasn't just about the braces anymore. It became about freedom from foreign dependence on oil and how the country's security was being compromised under the current leadership. He even touched on Venezuela, criticizing the Biden administration for seeking energy resources from them, a dig that was sure to get applause from the crowd. This ability to quickly shift focus and bring in related topics isn't just a Trump trademark. It's a brilliant display of spontaneity in unscripted political maneuvering. When confronted with potentially challenging or technical questions, Trump doesn't narrow his focus to one issue. Instead, he broadens it to cover adjacent concerns that are just as important to his supporters. The pistol brace regulation became part of a larger narrative about government overreach and the erosion of American independence. It's no longer just about guns. It's about American sovereignty and control over its own resources. This tactic is highly effective because it allows Trump to touch on a variety of concerns without seeming like he's dodging the question. It makes him appear decisive and fully in command of the broader issues at hand. Unlike many politicians who might stick to the script and provide a polished yet narrow response, Trump thrives in unscripted situations. He uses them to highlight his knowledge of and commitment to the issues that matter most to his voter base. Contrast this approach with how many other politicians, including Kamala Harris, handle tough questions. Harris is often criticized for deflecting or relying on overly rehearsed answers that don't always address the core issue. This rigid approach can prevent her from expanding on related topics that might resonate with her audience. Additionally, Harris has become notorious for her nervous laughter and incoherent word salads, where her responses appear rambling and unclear. These moments, especially in high-pressure interviews or when discussing complex topics like immigration, have drawn widespread criticism. For example, her handling of questions about her role as border czar has often resulted in vague, disjointed responses that leave little room for meaningful engagement. This combination of defensiveness, wordy explanations, and misplaced laughter has contributed to a perception of her being out of touch with the gravity of certain issues. Trump, on the other hand, seizes these moments. It's a way to reassure his supporters that he's thinking ahead, looking at the bigger picture. It also allows him to indirectly critique his political opponents by highlighting their shortcomings in these broader areas without explicitly saying it every time. Trump's strategy isn't just about sounding informed. It's about genuinely connecting with people. Additionally, his tone and delivery are key here. Rather than coming off as a politician rattling off policy points, Trump speaks in a way that feels conversational, almost like he's talking to a group of friends at the store. It's this relaxed, yet confident style that makes his supporters feel like he's one of them. It doesn't just make him relatable, it also showcases his ability to handle unscripted, tricky questions without breaking a sweat, something that gives him the upper hand because he never lingers too long on any one issue. Rather than getting bogged down in the details of pistol braces or ATF regulations, Trump quickly transitions to talking points that he knows will hit home with his supporters. It's a broad stroke method that works incredibly well for rallies or campaign events, where the aim is to energize the crowd rather than get bogged down in policy details. Trump addresses the concerns of the person asking the question, but quickly widens the conversation to bigger, more impactful issues. In contrast, Kamala Harris has faced more public challenges when dealing with unscripted moments. One of her most infamous moments occurred during a 2021 interview, where she was asked about visiting the U.S.-Mexico border amid the immigration crisis. Instead of providing a clear answer, Harris awkwardly laughed and said, "I haven't been to Europe either," which drew significant backlash for being dismissive. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Harris has developed a reputation for relying on nervous laughter and deflective word salads when confronted with tough questions, which can leave her appearing flustered or unprepared. These moments have hurt her image, making her seem out of touch with the seriousness of certain issues and more focused on sidestepping questions than engaging with them in a meaningful way. Under Trump's leadership, he often reminded the public that the U.S. had achieved energy independence, meaning the country was producing enough oil and gas to meet its own needs. This shift came from his administration's policies, which aimed to ramp up domestic energy production, reduce reliance on foreign oil, and deregulate the industry to encourage economic growth. By expanding oil drilling and approving projects like the Keystone XL pipeline, Trump positioned the U.S. as a major player in global energy production. In fact, by 2019, the U.S. became a net exporter of oil, a milestone that hadn't been reached in decades. Trump ties this achievement directly to national security. He frames energy independence not just as an economic win, but as a way to keep the U.S. from relying on hostile nations for its energy needs. During his visit to Palmetto State Armory, he made this clear when he criticized the current administration for turning to countries like Venezuela for oil, a move he claims compromises U.S. strength on the world stage. Trump's broader message is simple. When the U.S. produces its own energy, it's safer, stronger, and less vulnerable to foreign influence. In contrast, Biden's administration has taken a markedly different approach to energy policy, aggressively pushing for a transition to green energy. From his first days in office, Biden focused on combating climate change through various executive orders and legislative proposals, aiming to reduce carbon emissions and promote renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. His Inflation Reduction Act, passed in 2022, allocated billions toward green energy projects, including tax credits for companies investing in clean energy technology. While these measures were touted as essential for the environment, critics argue that the administration's strategy has led to a significant shift away from traditional energy sectors like oil and coal, resulting in job losses and economic hardships in those industries. The cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, one of Biden's first actions, sent a clear signal of this shift. This project was expected to create thousands of jobs, particularly in construction, and boost the U.S. economy by increasing domestic oil production. However, by halting the pipeline, Biden effectively eliminated these opportunities, a move that sparked backlash from labor unions and industry advocates. In states that rely heavily on the energy sector, like Texas and West Virginia, the impact was deeply felt, with many workers facing layoffs and uncertainty about their future employment prospects. The Democrats' push for green energy also came at the expense of reliable energy access, critics argue, as renewable sources like wind and solar are not yet able to fully replace the reliability of oil, gas, and coal. This has led to higher energy prices and concerns about energy shortages during peak demand times. Another key issue Trump frequently ties into his message is border security. During his presidency, Trump's efforts to build the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border became one of his signature policies. The goal was simple: reduce illegal immigration, secure the border, and protect American jobs and safety. Trump's administration took a tough stance on immigration, including enacting strict policies like the Remain in Mexico policy, which required asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their cases were processed. Trump consistently frames the border as a security issue, connecting it not just to immigration, but to crime and drug trafficking. He often refers to sanctuary cities and lenient immigration policies as dangerous for the American people, arguing that his administration's approach was tough but necessary. Under Biden and Harris, immigration policies have softened, with the current administration reversing several of Trump's initiatives. Biden ended the Remain in Mexico policy, paused border wall construction, and took a more quote-unquote humanitarian approach to dealing with undocumented illegal immigrants. Ultimately, control of the southern border has been lost, leading to increased illegal immigration and crime. For voters concerned about security and the impact of immigration on the job market, Trump's message strikes a chord. And that's it for this video. We've unpacked how Trump masterfully handles tough, unscripted moments, like his response to the pistol brace question during his visit to Palmetto State Armory. Instead of just sticking to the pistol brace issue, Trump cleverly pivoted to broader topics, like energy independence and border security, reinforcing his image as a problem solver who always keeps the bigger picture in mind. So what do you think? Could Trump's ability to pivot and engage give him the edge in November? Or do you see things differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it insightful, and share it with your friends and family to keep the conversation going. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest videos. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching.